All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll call to order our recess meeting of February 11th, 2026. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Baker,
Here.
Commissioner Beck, Commissioner Chauncey, Commissioner Eversole,
Here.
Commissioner Graham,
Here.
Commissioner Helton,
He's here.
He's here.
Dr. Highlander,
Here.
Dr. Mackey, Commissioner Sharp,
Here.
Commissioner Shipley, Chairman Smith.
Here. All right, invocation and pledge will be by Commissioner Eversole. If you would please rise.
Thank you, Chairman. Our invocation this afternoon be done by Pastor Jermichael Jordan from Mount Canaan Imagine Church. You do the invocation, I'll do the pledge.
Let us pray. Dear most gracious, eternal, and heavenly God, we thank you for this opportunity this afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity to serve and make a difference in the great city of Chattanooga. God, we thank you for the positions that you place us in to make a difference, not just for some people, but for all. So we pray that as we go through in this meeting today, that you would just give us the wisdom, the discernment that we need to make positive changes that will draw Chattanooga together and will bring us closer. God, we pray for the workers and those who put their lives on the line each and every day. We pray that you continue to give them more grace and covering and protection. God, we pray for those who will be making decisions, that you will give them peace and clarity of thought and mind as they keep all the people encouraged and thoughtful as we move forward, God. So we pray for unity, we pray for peace, and we pray that we do what it is that you've called us to do, and let your will be done. In your name we pray. Amen. Amen.
Face flag, proper salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
One nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. All right, Madam Clerk, I'm showing no recessed items. Is that correct?
That's correct, Chairman.
All right, we'll now adjourn our recess meeting and go into our February 11th agenda session. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Baker,
Here.
Commissioner Beck, Commissioner Chauncey absent, Commissioner Eversole,
Here.
Commissioner Graham,
Here.
Commissioner Helton,
Here.
Dr. Highlander,
Here.
Dr. Mackey,
Here.
Commissioner Sharp,
Here.
Commissioner Shipley, Chairman Smith.
Here. Thank you. We have no presentations today. Next week, we will be looking at minutes for our January 28th, 2026 recessed meeting, January 28th, 2026 agenda meeting, February 4th, 2026 regular meeting. We also will have 3 reports that we're looking at entering into the record. That takes us down to resolutions. So Madam Clerk, please read 226-11.
Resolution 226-11, a resolution to approve and accept applications for notary public positions, the bonds and oaths of notaries previously elected, and the oaths of deputy sheriffs.
Thank you. Take that up next week. 226-12, please.
Resolution 226-12, a resolution making an appropriation to Appleton Elementary School in the amount of $1,000 from general fund travel discretionary monies as allotted to District 7.
Take it up next week. 226-13, please.
Resolution 226-13, a resolution requesting the Hamilton County State Delegation to introduce a private act to impose term limits on the offices of Hamilton County Mayor and Hamilton County Commissioner, and to submit the act for referendum approval by the citizens of Hamilton County.
All right, Commissioner Helton.
Thank you, Chairman. This is the resolution that I referred to last week. After consultation with our county attorney, I think we've got something that is workable, and at this point in time, I think we need to proceed with it. Thank you.
Commissioner Highlander.
Thank you, Chairman. May I address Commissioner Helton with
Please.
a question? I think there's some really good possibilities in this, and I like the idea of it. If, say, for some reason in the future, some future commission wanted to make an alteration, would it take a supermajority of the commission to change it back, or what would it take?
I'm not sure. I think that's a question for the county attorney.
May I ask the attorney, Mr.
Please.
Chairman? Ma'am, would this be a private act, I assume?
Yes.
Okay, now, would it be written into that it would take a majority or a supermajority of a future commission to make alterations with a private act?
I want to make sure I understand your question. Are you talking about amending the private act?
If so, correct, if say, for instance, if we vote this in, we go 3 4-year terms, which I'm amenable to, I'm open to that. But if say for some reason in the future, a future commission feels it needed to be changed, what would it take to change it under a private act?
I would think you would need to bring another resolution to do so, but I'll need to get back to you on that.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Good, sir.
Thanks, Chair.
Commissioner Sharp?
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. I guess it was back in November, maybe we discussed this before. Is that accurate? Was it November before then? Before then, yeah.
It's been a while.
It's been about a year. Well, maybe I have the dates wrong. I remember, I can't remember how the vote went down. It failed. Or was it pulled from the agenda? I don't, it was tabled. Okay, was it tabled to like a date certain or just?
I believe it was just tabled.
So does that mean it has to have do we have to vote to bring it off the table? What's the procedure with that? May I ask the attorney, please?
So this is an entirely new resolution, and it's substantively different than the other resolution, which means that I don't think there is any
Okay,
need to take anything off the table.
so this resolution is for 3 terms. The previous resolution was for 2 terms. Is that the substantive difference?
Yes.
Okay, that's right. Yeah, I remember this conversation. I believe I remember reaching out to the mayor about this and suggesting that 3 terms would be more appropriate. The other issue that I believe that we have with this resolution, and this may just be, I may be the only one with this concern, but my understanding is that when a county legislative body votes in 2/3 majority votes to send a private act to the state legislature, that the state legislature then has the authority to further amend that private act before bringing it back to the county for ratification. Is that accurate? Am I saying that accurately?
That's my understanding, yes.
That's my understanding also. So even if we pass a resolution with specific verbiage for the state of Tennessee to approve a private act, that private act may come back to Hamilton County and look completely different than it looked before we sent it to Nashville. But as this resolution is written, we would not have the opportunity to vote again, as it would go on the ballot for referendum. And to me, that's concerning to me. I'm not particularly confident that there may be something added to the private act while in Nashville that I would be supportive of, that I would have voted to approve. So the part of this resolution that gives me a bit of concern is that though we may have certain intentions with the private act, the end result may be completely different and we would have no say over it. That's my major concern with this resolution. And I'm not opposed to the idea of term limits. I think that there are better ways to achieve what I think many in this entire nation would view as positives with regard to term limits. I think there are other ways of achieving those goals. One of my colleagues said it's called elections. But the methodology of this particular resolution gives me a lot of concern. I'm not particularly comfortable with it, and I'll continue to consider. But I just wanted to bring that up for the record, that though the intentions of this resolution may be one thing, the end result could be something entirely different. And we don't know what that may be. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Mackey?
Thank you, Chair. This resolution, the underlying idea behind it, what is
You may, please.
Well, my intent, the way I see the job, and I understand what other commissioners are saying about the elections, but I think it creates a sense of urgency for the elected official to deliver on the promises he's made or she's made to their constituents. It's not an open-ended ticket. It's get to work, get it done. You know, the previous resolution was isolated to only the executive office. I expanded it to ours as we all create policy. We've, have a great effect on the whole county. I just want to create a sense of urgency. Like I said, get in there, get the job done. If you've not got it done in 12 years, you're probably not going to get it done if you haven't delivered that quickly. And, I thought 8 was just a little too short a time. I know for myself, I make mistakes up here every day. I think as a body, we make mistakes frequently. But it takes a little time to know the job, to know all the players in county government, and just to know how to get things done. So I just tried to give it a little more room.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. I believe leadership starts at the top. I think the government that functions best is one where the people are engaged. If we're going to abide by the principle that the people's voices need to be heard, it seems like to me that ought to start at the very top, at least on the state level, where the state legislators, if they're going to require things of you and I, for example, the Sunshine Law, if they want us to abide by it, and if it's good enough for us, why don't they do it? There's an idea and concept you've heard me express many times, and it has to do with these committees that we form. And I continue to push that we limit the amount of time people serve on these countywide countywide committees. The more people you get involved, I think you get better government, but they're not limited. They are not limited. So if we're gonna move towards limits, let's put limits on everybody. Those committees that you and I approve, it's the same people reappointed time and time again. Where are their limits? How do you get more people involved? And I very much want to see more citizens serve in these positions. Chairman, I can go on, but I'll stop there. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Eversole.
Thank you, Chairman. I've always been supportive of term limits. I think if you look nationally, what keeps us in turmoil, in my opinion, is lifetime politicians. And I think we need more, I guess, business savvy people making decisions on taxpayers' money. And that's just my opinion. And thank you for what it's worth. One question I do have about it, and I guess it doesn't state on here, but within the internal pieces of the item, it is for 3 terms. Is that correct, Commissioner Shelton? That's correct. So it's 3-term max for the county commission and for the mayor.
Correct.
And when would this take effect? If it gets voted on and it comes back and goes on to referendum and it gets voted on this year?
My understanding is it would have to be an item on the general election in November. So it would still have some time before it went into effect.
But would it impact any of us up here?
Not immediately, nor the mayor's office. I don't believe so.
So even today, this resolution would not impact any of the commissioners up here. So if I wanted, this is my first term. So if I wanted to stay 20 years, it wouldn't impact me.
I don't think so, sir. But the intent of this is not to be retroactive. I don't believe you can be retroactive with an item like this. All I know is, piggybacking on what Commissioner Mackey said, I think there should be some changes in how committees are run, how they're selected. The same with this. We can't help where we've been. We have to start where we are today. And like you said, just how it hits in the cycle when the general election is, it'll be a little while before it takes place.
Okay. All right. Attorney, is how it's written, and when would this actually take effect? Once it's voted on, would it fall within the next election cycle, or would it just be for new candidates at that point, or when would it fall?
Yeah, I think maybe we're mistaking takes effect. Do you mean specifically to the candidate itself, the seat itself?
Current seat today, would
Okay.
they be impacted by this?
No, because it's not retroactive.
Okay.
So it would be to take your seat for District 10, for example, it would be for the next person that holds that seat
Why would it not take effect now?
because it's written as not retroactive.
Okay.
Next election cycle.
Okay. So it's written that way.
It says not retroactive in the resolution.
Okay. All right. No further questions.
Good, sir. Commissioner Graham?
If I'm not mistaken, from the rules that we abide by, if I'm not mistaken, anything that we pass in a current term doesn't go into effect to the next term. So if that's the case, then if this was to go to the legislature and the legislature sent it back to us to approve, which would be the next group of commissioners, whether we come back or not, because it would be in November. So then it would take place, if I'm not mistaken, the next term after that. And if it's not retroactive, you can't retroactive that, I don't believe. So it would be for 3 terms after that term. And it would start in the following term, because you can't start something in the middle of our term or at the beginning of our term. Once we've been sworn in, that's our rules we go by for that 4 years. So if it's not brought to us till the November election and then it's voted on then, and it's, for instance, say it was approved, then it would be approved for the next body of commissioners in the following term. If I'm not mistaken with that. Does that not sound right, Attorney?
You're talking about for the term of the 4 years?
Yeah,
Yes.
that's what I thought. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Bet. Commissioner Beck?
Mr. Chairman, thank you. If a person ran and won for 2 terms and the community decided and somebody else took the place of that person, and the community decided that the person that took the place of that commissioner wasn't doing a good job, and that commissioner decided to come back again, will his 3 terms start all over again? So you could wind up with 5 terms.
Madam Chair, based on the language, do you know the answer to that? It's a matter of, I would expect that the language is either consecutive terms or 3 terms, one or the other.
It's 3 terms, I believe. I don't have the resolution. Is it 3 consecutive terms, Commissioner Helton?
Cumulative.
Cumulative. So you couldn't be up here but 3 terms no matter what.
Right.
After it took effect.
I don't get that. If the community decided that they wanted that person back again, are you saying that they couldn't come back if they've already been up here 2 terms and somebody came in and took that place and the community decided that that wasn't a good commissioner and the previous commissioner decided to run again? Are you telling me that that commissioner still can't stay up here but 1 more term?
Yes, it would. You could have 8 years between. You could serve 8. You could have an 8-year hiatus. You could come back and serve 4 more. But 12 years.
Good, sir. All right, you bet. Commissioner Sharp.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. Maybe I misunderstood, but our colleague from District 11 made a reference to the next commission would ratify it by a second supermajority vote. But as the resolution is written, it would be ratified in referendum on the ballot, not by the next commission. That's correct. So the next commission would not get a vote.
Right.
That was the issue that I said that I had with this, is that the commission would not have the authority to approve or disapprove what the state legislature may change in the private act. And, frankly, I think the state legislature tends to have a heavy thumb on local governments. And I know that state legislatures don't particularly like the federal government meddling in their affairs. I don't particularly like them meddling in ours. And for that reason, I've got a lot of concern with this. I just wanted to point that out because we don't get another say in it. It will be what the state legislature puts on the private act on the ballot, and then however many hundreds of thousands of dollars they may choose to spend to campaign to get it approved, whether we wanted it or not. That I take issue with. Thank you, Chairman.
Commissioner Highlander.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm not sure if that should be for our attorney or Commissioner Helton, but say hypothetically, I'm not sure how many I think I know who served the most terms up here, but those terms prior would not count. Is that correct, ma'am? If someone had served 4 terms, 5 terms, they would start, their 3 terms would start after the approval.
Correct.
Am I correct?
Correct. It's not retroactive.
Okay, so I just want to make that very clear to the public. That was my understanding. The second thing I will say, I hope Dr. Mackey will back me up on this, but the founders did not intend for people to serve indefinitely. They did plan for people to stay, serve, and then leave. And George Washington was happy to go back to his farm in Virginia and distill whiskey, but as some of us have done. But he was glad to get out. And I think
Good to know.
so that's how he actually made his money. But I'm not wanting to do that. I tell you, I'm not. But I think that the founders' intent was for us to serve a short term. And I just want to make that as a statement. What the original founders of this country wanted elected officials to do, serve a limited term. Thank you.
Commissioner Mackey.
That's what he did. He made whiskey.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, may I ask Commissioner who sponsored this resolution a question?
Absolutely.
Would it, if we delayed this a couple of weeks so that we could, this conversation, if we tried to make a pound cake today, people, we'd come up with a monster. Would it hinder us to allow for more conversation amongst us?
I am totally fine delaying this one more agenda if we need to clean language up to make people more comfortable with it. I'd prefer to get it right the first time. Have a little more, input. I think the community, it's not a scientific poll, but a poll by one of our news outlets had several thousand responses. It was 95-5 in favor of this. My intent is to put it back to the people. We did this with liquor by the drink. It had been defeated several times before. The community had changed its mind. We gave them the opportunity to speak on it. That's my intent here. It on its own is a form of election. They will get an active say in this process.
Commissioner, if you don't mind, I heard some comments made, for example, the state of Tennessee doesn't like the feds telling us what to do. In a similar way, I don't know if we enjoy the state telling us what to do, especially when they ask things of us they're not willing to do themselves.
Sir, I totally agree with that, and a level of discomfort being told things by the state. But as you know, and as all of us know, we are a subsection of state government. We are their little brother. And, that's just how it's set up. I'm not trying to break the wheel. I'm just trying to give people a say.
Yep. What's good for the goose?
I don't disagree.
If they want us to do it,
Again, I totally do not disagree. But unfortunately, the seat I'm elected in sits right here. It doesn't sit in Nashville.
thank you, sir. Thank you, Chairman.
Commissioner Sharp?
Thank you, Chairman. I just wanted to point out again, as it was mentioned by our colleague from District 9 about the 2 to 3 terms in this resolution, and how that may impact seated officials, future officials, what have you. Remember that just because that is the intention of this body, that does not mean that that is the end result that will come back from our state legislature. And if this goes to referendum, as this resolution is written, what we intend may not be the result. I think if this was the issue that I took previously when our mayor brought the resolution. And I sent him an email. I said, you know what, 3 terms, I could stomach it a little better. But the major problem I have with this is state overreach into local governments. Historically, it has been rather profound. And for that reason, I'm not comfortable with the state doing this. I just want to reiterate, we can have the best intentions as a county legislative body and send a private act to Nashville and it come back and look entirely different. Just keep that in mind. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Graham?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm undecided on this, but I will say something. Mayor Kinsey's in the audience. He served 1 term. He was an excellent mayor, not just because he's sitting there, but he did some really, really good things for our fire department and for the local government. Really good things. You were great, sir. But we've had a few city mayors that were not as great. And they have term limits. But I believe that the county, and you've heard me say this 1,000 times, and I must say it 1,000 more times. The county's in the shape that it's in because the employees that we have and the leadership that we've had over the years. The employees that we have, most of the employees that we've had, Lee's been here, I don't know, 572 years, I think, but 35 years, I think is right. We've had several of our employees have been here 25, 30, 35 years. They've devoted their lives to the job of running Hamilton County and making Hamilton County great. You had a mayor in Dalton Roberts. I think I'm just shooting from memory here, so bear with me. I think he was our mayor for about 18 years. And then Claude Ramsey was our mayor for, they didn't call them mayors back then, they were county executives, but Claude was our mayor for 17 years before he became the deputy governor, went to Nashville. Mayor Coppinger was our mayor for, was it 14 or 15 years? And what's made Hamilton County great is those mayors and longevity kept the staff, kept the departments, kept Hamilton County growing the way it is, or the way it was. They set us a foundation. because of what they did for so many years. I just don't know. Like I said, I'm undecided, but all about term limits in the federal government. I'm all about term limits going up. But on a local level, and let's face it, guys, ladies and gentlemen, let's face it, this is really where the rubber meets the road. This is really where we take care of the potholes, and we take care of the sewer lines, and we take care of the growth, and we take care of, the volunteer fire departments and everything. This is really where the work's done. So I'm not sure that if you get a good one, that you wouldn't want that person to stay for a while. I'm not sure, but here's the thing. Let's use an example. If you get a county commissioner that's doing a great job, like Mr. Shipley there in Saudi Daisy, and he's been in local politics up there for many, many years and done an excellent job. That's why he's been there. And the community wants him. The community wants him to stay. Well, you're actually taking their ability away for the community to say, we want that gentleman or that lady because they're doing an excellent job. So I'm not sure where I'm at on this, but I think longevity in local government means something. I think you're right, Commissioner Helton, that it does take a little while to get your feet up under you and kind of figure out how everything works. And it does take a little while to get things done, but that's on purpose as well. I mean, you don't want to rush government. You don't want to rush what we're doing, spending other people's money. So we kept our tax rate down to 1941 levels. We're growing the county. We're growing our school system. We're paying the bills. We're building schools. We've just did the biggest bond that we've ever done in history of Hamilton County, and it's working. I'm just not sure that turning over, and no disrespect to the city. I live in the city. I love the city, but I'm just afraid that if we have the turnover that the city has, a new mayor brings in their staff, a new mayor brings in their administrators, and we've had most of our administrators for many, many years, and that's what's made Hamilton County great. It's not this body, and it's not been the mayors intentionally, but it's been the people that have been here for all these years. So I'm just not sure, but I just wanted to point that out, that how long those mayors, the great mayors that have been here and great mayors that have ran this county, they've been here for more than that. Thank you.
Yeah, this paper, the attorney. If it is voted in, it goes to legislature, comes back to us with verbiage we don't like, then this body can vote that down, right? No?
No, not as it's written because it's a referendum.
Okay.
Commissioner Helton, closing comments on your item?
Yes, thank you. I appreciate everybody's thoughtful comments on this subject. I'm willing to park it for a couple of weeks. If we need to clean up language to make people more comfortable, I'm happy to accommodate. The one thing I want to say is, frankly, I have faith in the citizens of Hamilton County to make the right decision. As far as continuity of government, there were 7 of us who came in this last time and a new mayor. Things have run okay. The ship's not gone down. But there's also a deep bench in every one of our districts of people who want to serve, who are willing to serve, and they're quite capable of doing the same job that all of us are sitting here doing. If I'm lucky enough to get elected again this time, that'll be it for me. 8 years would be plenty to get everything done that I want to get done. And I have full faith that there's somebody out in District 7 who can step in seamlessly and do the job as good as I can. But like I said, I'm happy to pull it for a couple of weeks to clean the language up, to accommodate everyone. That's not a problem. I'd like to work with everyone on it. I'd like to try to move it forward if we can. Thank you.
All right, thanks, sir. Mr. Mayor, I see you. Do you have a comment on this item?
Yeah, I thought I'd add a few words since I'm the one who open this can of worms last year. Since I did, a whole lot of people have come to me and told me what a bad idea it was for my own sake to propose term limits or self-implement term limits. I recognize that point of view. I came into this office having said that I thought that was the appropriate length to 4-year terms. And even when I brought you all a resolution, I did so not having any clarity about how long a commissioner would serve or should serve, because that's a hard thing to decide. The U.S. Congress doesn't have term limits. The state legislature doesn't have term limits. Our peer counties, if you will, some of them do have term limits, but that's been through a process of creating a county charter. So Knox County, Shelby County, Metro Nashville all have term limits that match the mayor's term limits. But I tried to just bring something that was simple to you, that I could understand, both based on my own gratefulness to have the job, the urgency that Commissioner Helton spoke to. It's certainly served me well over the last 3.5 years. And obviously, I can speak with confidence about 2 4-year terms, because it has served, I think, the city of Chattanooga well. It served the state of Tennessee well. It served the country well since we amended the Constitution to limit the president at 2 4-year terms. I would say, if y'all take a little more time to consider this, that's worthwhile. Term limits are an interesting subject, because just about everybody, for all intents and purposes, across the political spectrum, seems to think there should be some term limits, but the devil's in the details. I don't think it is fair to say that there is risk in sending a request for a private act to the legislature because it might come back differently. I don't think there's any precedent for that. When I put the resolution forward a year ago, I had members of our delegation reach out, communicating openly who would take the resolution from our own delegation. I think that's a statement of distrust to our delegation. I have no reason to believe that that would be an issue. I don't think anybody in our county should think that that would be an issue. And it's not the state, I would argue. It would not be the state telling us what to do. It would be within the law in the state of Tennessee. It would be a county that is operating under general law, not a charter, asking the state to make this change pursuant to a vote of the public via referendum. And I would just keep it focused there, because it'll be a shame if we have had this conversation that started in a quite simple place, 8 years for the county mayor, moves to 12 for both. It would be a shame, I think, if voters don't get to speak to it at all, because I think we all know what voters would say. So maybe more time to figure out the details. When Commissioner Helton called me and told me that he was going 12 and 12, I told him, we had a kind of friendly back and forth about exactly what the number of years is, because I think it is less clear for a legislative body. And I'm no expert, but I think if you choose to move forward, and I say this to y'all, I'll say this to the public, I think we could do so with full confidence that what y'all send them is exactly to the word what we would get back. And I only believe that based on past behavior and conversations that I've had with members of our delegation from when I brought a resolution last year.
Commissioner Mackey, I see your light, sir.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I look out in the audience and I see some very wise and talented people. I would like to invite them, Chair, I would like to invite the audience, if anyone has any comment on what we're discussing, I'd like to hear from them.
They'll have an opportunity to address that next week.
Thank you, sir.
You bet. All right. We will take this up next week. Madam Clerk, 226-14.
Resolution 226-14, a resolution to transfer certain appropriations budgeted in the fiscal year 2026 Hotel Motel Fund from the Chattanooga Tourism Company to the Sports and Events Corporation.
Thank you. Commissioner Baker?
Thank you, Chairman. Got a number of people in the audience that I'd like to include in this. But first, what I'd like to do is give you an update on the timeline, because this resolution was not done lightly. In fact, it's been 16 months. So November 2024, I was approached by a friend that the tourism company was going to make some changes within their organization. I had two subsequent meetings to find out what the heck was going on. By January 2025, Mr. Morgan was discharged by the tourism company. And I asked for and I received information on what it would take to transfer sports to a standalone 501c3 or nonprofit. Subsequently, the Sports and Events Committee, TSEC, was formed. During budget of 2025-26, this past year, we looked at a number of, budget items, but when we're looking at the tourism company, salary expense had increased by 46% in 4 years. The tourism company leisure and advertising expense, the main purpose of their organization, had actually been reduced. The administrative overhead as a percent of expenses during that period had gone from 9 to 12%. Leisure and advertising expenses, again, the main focus of their organization, went down from 24% of expenses to 18.5%. So it was clear to me that the money was going to salaries and not their mission, which is advertising. Staffing is now at 28 FTEs with 7 listed as new to be added. Also included is an additional person for a contracted government relations position. During the 2025-26 budget, we allocated $500,000 to the TSEC, or the sports committee. June 16th of 2025, I met with the previous tourism chair and their COO to review the numbers. The numbers that I looked at had been sent to me by the previous chair. I was told these numbers were incorrect, though, and that he had the correct numbers. So I said, I'd like to see the correct numbers, please, because he was holding them. He said, no. On July 1st, I met with former Mayor Kinsey, who is also chair of the TSEC, the tourism company chair, and their CEO. And frankly, I don't know how to describe that meeting. I've never seen a meeting like it, but it was not a productive meeting at all. September 15th, TSEC put together a collaborative agreement that was delivered in person to the CEO of the tourism company. September 22nd, follow-up was done, nothing happened. October 16th, follow-up was done, nothing happened. December 12th, follow-up happened, nothing happened at all during these times. Once TSEC got going, one of the few people left at the tourism company, a highly qualified sports position, also joined the TSEC team. The remaining qualified person is on maternity leave. I'm concerned about many things. The lack of advertising necessary to fill our hotels and restaurants, the amount of staff that has been added to the tourism company, the ability to carry out a myriad of sports events without the right personnel, and most importantly, the inability to collaborate with all our community partners. So at this point, I would like to invite Mayor Kinsey to the podium, and then certainly open it up to Barry White, the CEO of the tourism company, to follow if he'd like. Is that all right, sir?
Just those two, yes.
Yes, that's it. Thank you. Sure.
An honor to be here in front of you. And Commissioner Baker asked me if I would just give a little bit of my history with the tourism industry here. And I actually, my first job was as a night auditor at what's now the DoubleTree. I won't even tell you how long ago that was. But then in 1989, I put together a group that bought the Chattanooga Choo Choo out of bankruptcy when it was in danger of closing. And I don't know, 4 or 5 years later, I had not really been involved in the, at the time it was called Convention and Visitors Bureau, but they got a new head, Jim Kennedy, and many of you know Jim. He went on to head the chamber and, has been real involved for a long time. And he came to me and he said, John, I've got a terrible board here. I don't have the people that actually are invested in, we had the marketing people and the human relations people. He goes, but I don't have any owners. And that's what we need here on this board. And he said, I think I can get all of my board to resign and start a new board if you'll be chairman. I said, okay, I'll do that. I mean, obviously, and we talk about the room tax that comes in, but let's not forget about, because what's way more important is the sales tax and the property taxes that all the tourism industry pays in to make this community what it is. And we need to continue to build on that. There's no question. And anyway, I agreed. So I served as chairman for, I don't remember how many years. And then during that process, one of your former commissioners, Fred Skillern, and I got together and went to, at the time, County Mayor Ramsey, and said, if we can get some more money to advertise, we can even do better. And so we did that for quite a while. And, it's gotten to the point to where, and this is a great thing, we should be excited about this, that the room tax coming in is more than what is needed to advertise the community. So there are dollars there to do things for those of us that live here. And I will say this too, tourism makes this place a much better place to live. I remember Mayor Ramsey told me, he said, John, because Claude and I were mayors together when we bought the land for Volkswagen. And when Volkswagen announced they were coming here, he said they're doing it because of our downtown and what y'all have created here. And so, it's really important stuff. And anyway, to skip forward decades to where we are now, I was real involved in the Bureau when Tim Morgan approached me. Well, he didn't approach me. He approached the head of the CVB at the time and said, I think we can get Iron Man. And the head of the CVB at the time was Bob Doak. And I was the first person he called. And I watched. So then I contacted Mayor Burke and Mayor Ramsey, and, we got Iron Man. But I watched Tim Morgan make that happen. I mean, there is no doubt the reason we have Iron Man is because of Tim. And after, I don't know, I guess earlier, or about a year ago, Tim approached me, he said, the county has set up a new sports committee because I'm no longer with the Bureau and they think I ought to be the guy out there telling sports, which I totally agree with. And he asked me if I would go on the board. I agreed to, and I go to the first meeting and I become chair. Didn't ask for it, but it is so important. It really is. And so my first call was to, after I was made chairman, thank you. That's what happens as we get older. Anyway, I called Barry White and said, okay, we've got this new committee and I'm chairman of it and we need to work together. And we have continued to try to work with them because it's confusing when you have two different organizations out selling to our customers, trying to get sports groups here. The county commission said, we want the sports committee to sell the sports. But to this time, the tourism committee has not been willing to accept that. And I don't get it. I mean, y'all have got the money and that's who rules. And they just snub their nose at you. But, you know, that will somehow work out. But what Tim and his group have continued to attract a lot of candidates. You know, we just got Spain. That's a big deal. You know, they're the #1 team in soccer in the world, and they're going to be training in Chattanooga. And that puts us on the map. And so what Commissioner Baker has proposed is we've got a lot of different opportunities that we can sell, but we need to make sure we have the money to be able to deliver our side of it. And so that's really what this is about.
Thank you. Okay, Chair, to,
Commissioner Baker, just a moment here.
Okay.
I've got a couple of lights. Or do you want to wait? Commissioner Shipley, did you want to comment now or wait until?
I'll go ahead and comment now. I'm very well aware of everything that Mr. Kenji has said. Where Mr. Baker's resolution, I just want to say I'm in full favor of this to bring more sports to this county and more growth in there. It's gonna put money, more money in their hotel motel. Give us more money every year to spend, bringing more sports. Thank you, Mr. Kenji, for your work.
Thank you.
Commissioner Baker, back to you, sir.
you're done. Okay, thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Don't go too far away. There might be some more questions. I'd like to invite Barry, if you'd like, to come up and make any comments.
Thank you, Commissioner Baker. I appreciate it. Didn't really come to expecting to speak, but I'll discuss a few things. First of all, I prefer not to dispute some of the things that you had mentioned earlier about our organization. In this setting, I would love to sit down with you and whoever else you'd like to dig through our organization, from our strategic plan to our finances to anything else, and we'll open our books completely to do so. So, and that goes for any one of you. It's something that happy to do that. Proud of the organization that we run. Come a long way in the number of years. I think that let me go back and just a little bit about our organization. It's been around for 88 years. 88 years because this community recognized the value of tourism back in 1939. And it's, I know the Sports and Events Committee that was originally set up probably in the early 1990s, like most of them around the country. I was part of one in my previous location and helping get that up and running and operating. And it's still kind of works closely with that tourism organization in Augusta, Georgia, where I was. We also recruited an Ironman event there. It's still there. We did that. It's been there for more than 18 years at this point. So I'm very familiar with those events and how that works. I would like to say that I'm proud of our team. Part of sports is also, there's a lot of operational aspects to those. And in 2025, we successfully operated every event that was on the books. We serviced 112 events in 2025, which was an increase over 2024. Again, and from a collaboration standpoint, would love to come back and speak with you at any time about that. Would love to be able to get some information from our perspective and into your hands.
Thank you. All right.
I do have a couple lights, sir. Are we good to move? Commissioner Eversole.
Thank you, Chairman. you hear us talk about tourism, and some of you may be in the outlying areas of Hamilton County and unincorporated say, what's this got to do with me? Here's what it's got to do with you. The tourism industry in Hamilton County is a $1.8 billion annual business. $1.8 billion comes to Hamilton County. Hamilton County in sales that's driven by tourism. And if I remember right, that's the fourth largest county in the state of Tennessee. So tourism matters. Now, taxpayers in Birchwood, Commissioner Hollander, if we didn't have $1.8 billion revenue coming in on tourism, the average property tax would increase by $1,235 annually. $1,235 increase to get the same thing we've got now. So that's how tourism matters. I don't know if everybody's looked at numbers like that, but that's why tourism matters. We have to get this right. I think if you look at how we've operated tourism in the past, I think we're kind of at a crossroads. We've got to, what got us here, I don't think it's going to keep us here forever. We've got to look at things a lot different. We need to generate more than $1.8 billion annually. And I think, we need to make sure in order to do that, we've got people that live in Hamilton County and pay Hamilton County tax dollars, property tax dollars, that need to have skin in the game. And my goal is, and look at this thing, is how do we make it better? How do we take the average taxpayer and how do we continue to relieve burdens from them by taking a resource that we've got that's the fourth best in the state of Tennessee, so that we don't put the tax burden on the folks that live here. We take the tax dollars from the people that visit us, so we don't have to pay for their schools because they live somewhere else. They're paying us tax dollars that we don't have to give them anything in return. So that way people, the citizens of Hamilton County, can thrive on those. So this is an important topic. So Commissioner Baker, thank you for bringing the topic up.
Good, sir.
Good, thank you.
Commissioner Sharp? Want me to come back to you?
I just wanted to do a little math there. Our colleague from District 10 brought up a number that was quite substantial, $1.8 billion. I've talked about local option sales tax that, could benefit our community previously. That half cent just on other people's money from tourism would be $9 million a year of other people's money for Hamilton County. I just wanted to mention that. But that's not why I had my light on. I too have a relatively long, not quite as storied or impressive history with the tourism and hospitality industry in Hamilton County. When I was a young man, about 19, 20 years old, brewing beer downtown at the Big River Brewery, Mayor Kinsey and his staff would come in and have lunch. And as a young guy interested in civics, I would occasionally stop by and they would entertain my questions and maybe ask me a question or two. And I felt really engaged. I think that probably had something to do, a little bit of something to do with why I'm here today. And I want to thank Mayor Kinsey for entertaining me as a young man. He probably had bigger things to do. But I appreciated that. I then argued with Jim Kennedy, as a matter of fact, his board chair, I guess then, or CEO, about hosting events, more events on the riverfront. And I went out on a limb and brought that Southern Brewers Festival down on the riverfront. We bring 10,000 people or more, along with Commissioner Baker. He helped us with that after a while. We did some work there. Yeah. And yes, Chairman, you were on our board.
Very first one.
Uh, wow. But I don't know how I forgot that, but,
Long time ago.
it was, I guess my point is saying like, I get it. You know, I worked with thousands. I don't know. I laugh sometimes and say you're almost not from Chattanooga if you didn't work at Big River for a short period of time. I mean, so many people came through there. I have so many friends that sustain their lives, their families on this industry and the tourism, that the people that come to our community to visit these great things that we have. And the advertising that takes place is huge. I remember pitching to the tourism board about the CVB about investing in some advertising for the Brewers Festival. Now, I didn't get anything out of it, but we saw the value. You know, we saw the value. And my colleague from District 10 brings up a great point. You know, occasionally we need to, you know, pull back the covers, lift the hood, look under the hood, and see if there's not something we can tweak to do better, right? To perform more efficiently, more effectively. I don't disagree with that at all. I think that that's probably something that we should do. I do. But one thing that I have been consistent with, and there have been a few opportunities over the last 3 or so years to have this conversation. I do believe that it is important for this body to honor our commitments. When we pass a resolution from this dais, those that are affected by those resolutions should feel confident that we're going to hold to that. I remember in our last budget, there were some reductions that took place at the Chattanooga Tourism Company in our budgets, and it was a challenging conversation. We eventually, most of us agreed on everything, and we established a budget. It was approved, and then here we are after they have planned and budgeted for those funds that we allocated. That they hired people, they initiated contracts, they signed contracts based on the budget that we allocated for this organization. And I struggle with the idea of now 6 months into that budget, we want to take some of it back. When there are already people hired, contracts signed, that they are required to execute. You know, I don't know what the answer is. This is fresh to me. There's been more conversations going on than I was privy to. And I would like to dive into those a little more. But I think, I don't know, 2 or 3 meetings ago, we voted to allocate $400,000 or so of tourism dollars to one of our local parks, and we voted to allocate some other number of tourism dollars, or I should say occupancy tax dollars to other projects. And I believe both of those carried unanimously. But I didn't know that we were going to be trying to pull money back from an organization that we had previously allocated dollars to. That gives me pause. During that conversation a couple weeks ago, I recall that there was about $750,000 left remaining in this year's occupancy tax account. So I'm a little curious as to why we would want to take back budgeted dollars from one of our organizations that has committed to salaries and contracts to manage $1.8 billion of business in our community when we have additional revenue that could serve to the same purpose. I think that's my question. So like, I'm not necessarily saying that we shouldn't do things differently, but there are commitments that have been made. And I'm not sure why we would not honor those commitments when there's revenue resources to address them a different way. So maybe can we address the goal of funding these projects, whatever they are, that are deemed necessary for our community without disrupting the operations of an organization that we have previously established and funded a budget for? Chairman, that's my question. I would like to know about that.
Commissioner Baker, do you have a response to your
Yeah.
resolution?
No, I think that's, I mean, and we went through this last time with, actually with the previous DA's office. Could we pull the numbers, the budget back? And I don't like doing it. But you know what? I also don't like not being heard. I had a wonderful conversation today with the current chair of the tourism company. The vision, I think, is there. But what I have difficulty with are a group, an organization of professionals that have sought to collaborate, and it falls on deaf ears. And that has been extremely difficult for me to understand why that would be the case. So would I prefer not to do it this way? Yeah, but has it been 16 months in the process of trying to get some attention? And I don't like the timing of it any better than anyone else. And I think we've got budget coming up and we'll have even more opportunity. But the reality is collaboration is not there 100%, and it should be. I mean, we should be working with, convention center, Memorial, Tivoli, aquarium person ought to be on the board. There's all kinds of opportunity. We should be working with the Chamber of Commerce. We have the ability to take something and make it so much better if we collaborate. So if there's one word I want everybody to remember, was this is not a collaborative process. That's the $1 million question. Why aren't we? And it's beyond me, sir. It's beyond me. But I'm hopeful, having met with the current chair, that opportunity is there. And I mean on a much bigger level than what we're talking about right now. I'm excited about that. But why? Why now? Lack of collaboration. Lack of it, I'm tired of a deaf ear. I'm tired of people reaching out and not getting responses. I asked for numbers before. He sat there with them, your previous chair, and said, you can't have them. That's not collaboration. So I'm happy to hear you say that you're willing to collaborate. To me, I've heard it before. I think we need to take action. We need to work at a bigger level to make really great things happen for this community. This is not our money. This is not your money. This is the people's money to do everything we can to make our community that much better. Thank you.
Commissioner Graham.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask Commissioner Baker a question?
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Baker, so the purpose of I actually have a question for Barry too when I'm done, but so the purpose of this resolution is to establish one, not two, but one sports authority and move the money that was going to their organization that took care of sports to move it with the sports authority, correct?
That's correct. In the past, there were two, became one, and it's not effective now. So that it would be for the sports professionals to do sports.
So we're not taking money away from them. We're actually separating the work again and letting the money follow the work.
Well, we are taking some money away, only in that it's money that they would have been used for these sports.
That's what I'm saying. They're moving the
It's a
sports.
shift.
So
Yeah, you're right.
So you're moving the sports and you're just moving the money with it.
That's correct.
So,
That's correct.
okay, that answers my question there. My next question, Barry, excuse me, Mr. White. Have you had a chance, the last time you were up here and we talked about these other budgetary things that we were doing, have you had a chance to work with the city and the other municipalities about, right now, and this was probably under Mayor Kinsey or way back then, this was a great agreement that the county used their hotel motel tax to promote Chattanooga and Hamilton County and the city used their portion to pay for the riverfront and what they paid for with that. That's been 25, 30 years ago now. And no one ever expected to, at that time, I guess, no one ever expected to get to this point, revenue wise. So I have asked you before, we very much need to do what you're doing, very much. And we need to keep bringing in this 1 point, whatever it is, $1 billion of revenue. And we need to keep growing it. There's no doubt about it in my mind. But there's a lot of hotel motel tax that's being collected out there. I think, in my opinion, we need to set a rate or a set a amount of money that, and I realize we'll have to have state legislator to help us with this, but we need a set amount of money that the county pays, set amount of money that the city pays to your organization or to whatever organization we use. And then the rest of the money should be used for projects that local residents benefit from. And here's what I mean by that. When you're a businessman, when you take money and you put it into your business to grow your business or grow what you're trying to do around you, you make that investment, but then eventually you want a return on your investment. And that return needs to go to the citizens of Hamilton County. That's a lot of tax revenue that's being generated without using property taxes. And so the homeowners need to benefit from the hotel motel tax as well. So I guess that was my question. And the last time you were here, we talked about the city starting to contribute, and hopefully we'll come to an agreement where we all have a equal stake in this hotel motel tax going forward. Has that agreement been made yet, or are we anywhere close to it?
First of all, thank you for that question. I want to make one comment to Commissioner Eversole before I reply to that. That is, thank you for hitting every single number. You have done your homework, and appreciate you sharing that economic impact and the value of tourism with everybody. Commissioner Graham, there's some other things that we've done and we're doing related to your question. One thing we have, at least since I've been here, we're finishing our third study to determine facilities that can be used to help recruit more people and more events to this area. The first one we did was a convention center study to determine what our needs are going forward with that facility. We are losing business every single day. We're losing conferences to other locations every single day. The second one we did, and it was for several reasons, but a music venue study. Came back and recommended at least a 6,000 seat amphitheater. But it was amphitheater, 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 solid. The third one and the last one that we're doing right now, and I just saw some rough findings, is a sports facility study countywide to determine what we're losing, where are they going, what do we need, what's been going on. We did ask Tim to join and meet with them early on. And I want to sit down with him with the results of that as soon as we get to the next level on what those are. But it is an extremely competitive market. And to get to your question, one more piece of information. Our competition, if I tell you what their budgets are, Greenville, South Carolina is a $12 million budget. Gatlinburg is a $22 million budget. Savannah, Georgia is over $20 million budget. And the city of Asheville is $39 million. We're sitting around 10 million right now. The city, 2 years ago, for the first time, contributed to our budget. The county at that time reduced the contributions to us based on what the city was putting in. So we've stayed flat now for 3 years. We're competing with those other cities every single day. We compete with every city and every state around us. So I just want to make that point. Regarding lodging taxes and your request, the county, the mayor's office, Mayor Wamp's office, along with Mayor Kelly's office, and our organization are all in agreement that the lodging tax model that we've been using for 25 years served this community well during that time. There's been a lot that's changed, and we need to look at that. We have short-term rentals now that are providing revenues to Saudi Daisy and other places that we didn't have 5 or 6 years ago. We have 6 entities, including the county and the city, that are collecting lodging tax in this community. So we actually have consultants in. We included the county and the city in the selection of consultants to do an evaluation of our lodging tax. And the consultants will be in town tomorrow, and we're making our rounds to each mayor's office to kind of get that underway. We hope to have results back from that sometime in April. So we hope that that will shed some light on what are these projects, where do we need to be investing those funds, and an equitable split between what I call tourism development, which is our product and our services that we provide, versus tourism marketing, which is the sales side of the business. So happy to answer more questions on that, but appreciate your question.
So what you're saying is the negotiations between the city and the county contributing hotel motel taxes is ongoing?
Yeah, I mean, I think our shared objective of this, of the work of the consultants is that we come out with a model that we can all agree to.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good, sir. Commissioner Sharp?
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. This is a thought-inducing conversation, and I appreciate the opportunity to do this. It's obvious it's been going on for a while, and not so much to my knowledge. That's okay. We're getting there now. I think that that process seems like it would be productive, Mr. White, and I appreciate the initiative with that. I spoke with the city mayor, Kelly, yesterday about this a little bit, and I don't want to speak for him, but I think that's encouraging to hear you say that. I'll say that much. A comment was, it started thinking here. There was a comment a moment ago about local residents should benefit from the investments from these tourism dollars. I agree with that 100%. And we've done, over the last 3 years, we've done a little thing here, a little thing there with some of these tourism dollars. And it's been interesting to me, an interesting approach. You know, in the past, we've done big things. The Roundhouse. Finley Stadium. The Aquarium. The Riverwalk. Convention Center. All of these things, right? Did I miss one? Not the aquarium part of it? No? Okay. Anyways, the point is, do we think people have been, our community members have benefited from those investments? I mean, I do. I just don't. You make a little investment here, a little investment there. Those things are nice, but next thing you know, the money's gone. These massive investments that we've made, you know, we know from presentations previously that we need a larger convention center. And in order to support a larger convention center, we need to be able to fill more hotel rooms. We've got to be able to attract larger conventions, those types of things. Those are major projects. I just want to be careful that we don't nickel and dime ourselves out of an opportunity to have a big hit in our community. That's just a point that an observation I had there in this conversation I wanted to mention. I think this makeup of the board seems to be a topic of, I don't know, a hot button topic. I've heard that mentioned a couple of times, and maybe that's something that we look at. I've been on this board for 7 years now, and I've often wanted to be on that board. I know that, as one of my colleagues mentioned, I think some state laws kind of prevent participation from multiple commissioners in boards like that, which is challenging. I think that we should look at opportunities maybe to do that a little bit differently. I'm not sure what that looks like. Maybe we could discuss that with our attorney. But I just wanted to share those thoughts. Hopefully I didn't ramble too much. Commissioner from District 11, I appreciate you sparking the thought there. And Chairman, thank you for the time.
One last question. Thank you, Chairman. Mr. White, you said that one of the studies you're doing is you're actually going to start going to mayors of some of the county, some of the cities within the county, and you're going to be, what's the status of that? You're going to ask them for money, or?
No, the objective tomorrow is just to go meet every mayor, let them know that this is being done, and or city manager. Let them know that this study is underway. Again, I'm appreciative of the partnership with the Mayor Womp's office and Mayor Kelly's office. Again, collectively doing it with them. But no, right now it's just to introduce the concept. There are state laws, and it's been mentioned, there are state laws on how this money must be spent or invested. I like to look at it as an investment. You're going to invest in development of a product. You're going to invest in marketing that generates a return. So there are state laws related to that, and there's been some new things happening out of the Tennessee legislature and comptroller's office and other things, some that are looking at how those funds are used. One, that's just a kind of a sidebar, but we're just going to meet with them and let them know that this study is going on. The consultants will probably be requesting some information from them, those types of things.
Well, I would say that all the tourists that go to Commissioner Shipley's area up there in Saudi Daisy could probably.
Can I?
Well, you have limited rentals and a 30-unit motel, so we're not gonna be contributing a lot.
That's big money.
So
Big money.
here's another little research we're partnering with UT Chattanooga. And I was in a meeting on Tuesday with Dr. Hungenberg up there. If you could just roll with me on this one just for a second, but where do you think the majority of the tourism jobs lie within the county? Downtown or Saudi Daisy? Okay, thank you. Hamilton Place, maybe? A little bit in East Ridge? Where do you think the 30,000 people who work in the industry live? Is it downtown? Is it Hamilton Place?
All live in Saudi Daisy?
They all want to live in Saudi Daisy. They live in your districts. And UTC is going to do a study for us to show how that looks and what that means. So hopefully everybody understands the benefit of tourism.
Commissioner Mackey.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, there is a lack of collaboration. The commissioner from District 2 was asking for information. It wasn't given to him so he could make a good decision. Consequently, it seems there will be need for development. But if Joe Q Public don't know there's need and that we're losing money from these competitors, somebody's failing. We need to get more information in a timely way. Don't look for us to come and ask you. If you have the information, share it. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you, sir. Commissioner Baker, I'll come back to you for the final word.
Thank
I
you.
just wanted to make one comment first.
Okay, sure.
Mayor Kinsey, thank you for being here. Always good to see you. Mr. White, thank you as well
Yeah.
for
Thank you,
taking
Mr.
your time
Chairman.
to come down and speak on these issues. I think you know where I lie with tourism, near and dear to myself as it is.
Yes.
But you did mention the sports facility study, sports tourism study. Long before you even came here, I've been asking for this. Similar to Commissioner Baker, I've got the same response out of the CVB at that time. It just wasn't a focus, right? And even now, I did a quick search on my calendar, and July 24th, 2025 was the last time you and I met with a sports tourism facilities study group. We're rolling up on a year now since that meeting took place.
Yes, sir. I'm aware of that and not happy about that. That study is taking longer than expected. I can check with our team on what those delays were, but we're this close to getting it wrapped up. And I remember our interview.
Yeah, I'd love to
and-
hear where.
And the passion that you had for that.
You could say that. But I'd love to hear where it is at this point in time.
Yeah.
Very interested.
Yeah.
As you know, I've been supportive of shifting these dollars, and this is part of the reason. This is incredibly important to me, and it has been, again, long before you got here. And the only time we got any attention on it is when we started shifting dollars, and that shows that it works. So I would like to see as well a little bit better collaboration and a little bit more expediency to show the importance of these things if you want to keep our support.
Absolutely.
Commissioner Baker?
Thank you, Chairman. This is a fantastic community. So I want you to close your eyes. Go ahead. I'm looking at you, Denise. And think about a community that collaborates that much better. A great community where everyone is working together, where the monies that are going to promote our community, not only bring people coming here, filling our hotels, filling our restaurants, but also helping us with the Chamber of Commerce, who's bringing businesses here to look at our community, see what a wonderful place we have. It could be done. It's been done, but it could be done that much better. And we should all want that. We should all expect that. And that's where we need to get. But in the meantime, we can't lose sports. We've got to do this for sports, and then we got to work on the bigger picture. And we've got to get there as fast as we can, because we're done with studies. Let's put an action into place, and let's get things going. So I appreciate everyone. I appreciate the amount of time. It was a little more than I expected, but thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. All right, Madam Clerk, let's jump down to 226-30.
Resolution 226-30, a resolution making an appropriation to Central High School in the amount of $1,000 from general fund travel discretionary monies as allotted to District 4.
Good, sir. All right, very well. All right. With that wraps up all of our resolutions for Committee of a Whole. We will have committee assignments after this meeting. I've got Education Committee, Commissioner Graham, you have 3 resolutions. Public Safety, Commissioner Beck, you have 4 resolutions. Health and Human Services Committee, Commissioner Baker, you have 4 resolutions. Finance and Budget Committee, Commissioner Eversole, you have 2 resolutions. Public Works and Zoning, Commissioner Highlander, you have 2 resolutions. So quite a few committees that we will have following our meeting here today.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
is
We
it
can-
okay that the Health Department meets in the conference room directly after this meeting?
I was about to ask you if that would work.
Thank you.
All right, so Health Department, after this meeting, we'll meet in the conference room, while another meeting, want to start off with Education, meets here immediately after closing of this meeting.
I don't even know.
Yes, unless you would like to do it elsewhere, so. Here's fine, okay. Okay, so we'll just roll through all these immediately following this meeting, except for Health and Human Services will be in the back committee room. All right. With that, we'll move into announcements then. Commissioner Shipley,
No announcement.
Commissioner Baker.
Yeah, I've got it written here. February 26th, 10 a.m., McDaniel Building Audit Committee. You didn't even remind me this time. Did you? Oh, I didn't look at it. Okay. February 26th, 10 a.m., McDaniel Building Audit. Thanks, Chris.
Good, sir. Commissioner Mackey,
No announcements.
Commissioner Beck, Commissioner Sharp.
Yeah, Chairman, I think it was last week I mentioned that I might be having a resolution on this agenda that's not on here. I just wanted you to know that I've not forgotten about that. The attorney and I are collaborating, maybe is the right word,
That's a
right?
great word.
And
word.
we'll hopefully have that ready for the next agenda. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, sir. Commissioner Helton,
No announcements.
Commissioner Highlander.
Thank you, Chairman. On March 2nd at 6 o'clock, at the Harrison Community Center, we're going to have an education and community forum, answer questions from people in the community. I'm hoping that Commissioner Eversole and possibly Ms. Haddon and Mr. King will join me, and we can answer some of our constituents' questions about education and what's going on in the community. March 2nd, Harrison Community Center, 6 o'clock.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Commissioner Eversole.
Yeah, a couple of things. This week, Southern lost a gentleman, Dr. Ben Weigel, passed away on February the 8th. Him and his wife, Rika, was married 69 years. And for the last 23 years, he served as the assistant to the president of Southern Adventist University. And Ben was an amazing man, very, very amazing. If you ever met him, he was never a stranger. So he will be deeply missed. I spoke with Dr. Shaw earlier and sent our condolences to the school, and but keep them in your prayers. Also this Sunday, Mr. Turner, 2 o'clock, 2 to 4, having the nature walk, run, hike.
And bikes, sort of some biking. However, we are keeping an eye on the weather because it's not looking like it might be cooperative on Friday.
Okay. But I would encourage you to come out, bring your family and just spend some time, just good quality time. So that's all I got, Chairman. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir. Commissioner Graham.
Mr. Chairman, I wanted to share with my colleagues and everybody in the audience. I guess it was last week that we voted on that resolution for Register of Deeds, Mark Gravitt, for advertising his program about deed fraud. And I took those, we all asked him for copies of the brochure, and I got a couple hundred of them. And I've been to several neighborhood associations since then, and I got a few more to go, and I'm going to take them with me as well. But the constituents in the neighborhood associations so far that I've took those flyers to were very, very appreciative and concerned after we had a little conversation. I explained what it was. They were unaware. I mean, so I'm proud that we passed a resolution to help Mr. Gravitt get that out there. But I'm also proud that I've been able to take them to their neighborhood associations and explain to them as well. And it's been a very big response. I say that only to say is you all may want to do the same thing if you're not already doing it, because I think your constituents would appreciate it. The other thing is I want to wish everybody a happy Valentine's Day. I wore my red today for Valentine's Day, but everybody happy Valentine's Day. I'll be celebrating. I've only been married for 36 years, but I've been with my wife for 42. So I'll be celebrating my 42nd Valentine's with my beautiful Valentine. So happy Valentine's, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Attorney Barnell. Administration. All right, no announcements. All right, no further announcements from the chair. All right, at this time, we'll move to the public with any discussion other than zoning. If you would like to address the body, please stand up and come up to the podium. State your name and address for the record, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Wayne Baylow, Lakeside, Tennessee. I am a commissioner there for Lakeside. I'm also on the WWTA board. Thank you for the time tonight to bring some new information to you. Usually you guys see me here when I come to talk about the value of good planning, and this team here does a great job. I also come to talk about our need to pay attention to the quality of our infrastructure now and in the future. That's the reason I'm here today, to talk about quality water, wastewater infrastructure in the entire boundary of Hamilton County. I think we as commissioners working for our constituents, at tonight, we see it's a long process to try to get resolutions, ordinances, things in place, things worked out. When we finally do, it's an accomplishment, and we take pride in that. How would you feel if Nashville, speaking of Nashville, came to us and said, you know, that was a good idea, that ordinance you did there. But we think we know better. We're going to tell you what to do. So for me, I would feel like, or how would you take that? Think how you would take it. I think we kind of feel that already. I would take it like, well, we're local. We know our constituents. We know what people are thinking here. We know the territory. Thanks, but no thanks. Let us control our own county here. I'm here today to tell you about a Senate bill that passed this morning in the Tennessee Senate. Senate Bill 564, House Bill 803, that takes all of us, the local authorities, out of the process of providing any input upfront for new wastewater treatment systems in all of Hamilton County. It takes you out, it takes WWTA out, and it takes the city of Chattanooga out. It allows the developer to come in with plans for subdivisions of 200 homes or more, to come in and choose their preferred type of wastewater system. To build that system out, build the neighborhood out, and then come to the local utility and say, do you want this? Do you want to own this and you want to operate it? Without input ahead of time, what businessman, city manager, commissioner, anyone would take that on with that huge loss, huge potential liability there? There's so many different types of systems that they can choose from. Decentralized is something that's promising, and we're all chewing on that. There's a few other things, but they can choose from anything that they deem appropriate.
Hey, Wayne, your time's up. Can you give me that bill number again, just to make sure I wrote it down right?
SB 564. HB 803.
803 on the HB.
Yeah.
Who are the sponsors?
Pody.
Cody, same as last year.
Same as last year.
Same
This
as
is
last year.
roll, and this is the new version.
All right. Thank you for bringing that to us
Yep.
and making sure to raise awareness. We
Okay.
appreciate it.
So am I getting the hook?
You got the hook. Not that you're not, one of my favorite constituents out there in Lakeside.
Can I make one last comment?
1 second. SB 564, HB 803. Mr. Blue?
So this will roll to the House shortly, and our two local reps, Greg Vital and Greg Martin. Greg Martin especially, he is the chair of the Agriculture and Natural Resource Board. Congratulations to Greg. He's now the chair, but they are in the critical path of this thing.
Yeah, I spoke to him just yesterday about a different bill, but not this one. So thank you. Commissioner Sharp, I see your last, sir.
I'm sorry, Chairman. I was going to ask him a question just so he could say that if you were going to
so
give
he
him
could
the
say that?
hook.
Yeah, I kind of figured.
No worries. We're good. Thank you.
All right. Anybody else? All right, seeing nobody else wanting to make comment, no other business, we'll be adjourned until February 18th at 4 p.m.